Let us discuss now. Many pundits pointing the fingers at the sidelines. Who goofed? I've got to know. All right, so can you explain how Kyle Shanahan continues to be on the wrong side of these historic comebacks in big games, such as the Super Bowl? So I've got mathematics, party favors, and unleaded gasoline. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a book of excuses, which is what Kyle Shanahan will be reading out of, the book of excuses. Now, number one. Some will say this is just buzzard's luck. It's just buzzard's luck. It was a fluke. It's a coinky-dink that the Niners coach continues to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Now, we disagree. We disagree on this. We draw a large circle around Kyle Shanahan in Sharpie, in a Sharpie marker. No excuses. No excuses. We look at the mathematics of this, and if you look at the mathematics of Kyle Shanahan, and you do some Maller math here, the quarterbacks have changed. If you look at the historic gags that the Niners and the Atlanta Falcons pulled off with Kyle Shanahan on the sidelines, you had Matty Ice, Matt Ryan in Atlanta. You had now Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy with the 49ers, and they all had a reversal of fortune. The opponents have changed. The New England Patriots were the team that did in the Atlanta Falcons in that famous comeback. The Rams in the NFC Championship game took apart the 49ers in the fourth quarter, even though it was a completely packed 49er crowd in Inglewood that day. I was at that game. And you've had Kansas City in the Super Bowl with Garoppolo and with Brock Purdy. So the one thing that stands out, again, using mathematics here, Kyle Shanahan is the common denominator. He is the common denominator. Shanahan becomes the first head coach ever to blow a double-digit lead in the Super Bowl and to do it multiple times. Congratulations.
You blew it!
Do you get a trophy for that? What do you get for that? Seriously, do they give you something? You're the gold standard for sucking.
Nothing.
Yes, Kyle Shanahan. You're good enough to get to the Super Bowl and then good enough to gag it away, to ride the vomit comet and do it with different quarterbacks. Congratulations. It's impressive. 49ers, of course, blowing a 10-point lead, fourth quarter, NFC Championship game 2021. The gold standard continues to be 2016 and will never be broken in our lifetimes, as he was the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta football team, the Falcons blowing the 25-point lead against the New England football team, only to lose 34-28 in overtime to New England. Here is the man of the hour, Kyle Shanahan here, and people questioning his strategy in the second half. You've got an MVP-type running back in Christian McCaffrey, who seemed to be a rumor at times and was more of a decoy at times in the second half. Here's Kyle Shanahan, who, if you think he's going to regret anything he did, you are mistaken. Is that correct? You like every move you made with your game plan. Is that correct, Coach?
I can't live with is when I do stuff that I didn't plan on doing or that I didn't do and second-guess myself. And,
okay, yeah.
I'm proud of what we did today as a coaching staff
yes,
and
you are.
As players in terms of we worked and we did everything that we planned on doing. We just didn't get it done. And any play that didn't work out, yeah, you always look at that stuff, but that's how every game is.
I'd fire his ass. If I owned the team, I'd fire him. I'd get rid of him. I'd say, you know what? All right, don't second-guess yourself. Go coach somebody else. Get out of here. Yeah, that's not the answer I wanted. It's one thing if it happened one time, you'd be like, okay, it's a one-off. It's consistent. This is what this guy does. This is a Kyle Shanahan coach football team. Big lead and puke all over yourself. Suck at a time you cannot suck. That's Kyle Shanahan's brand of football. It's great. Because no matter how many games the Niners win next year, maybe they'll go 17-0. And you know at some point there will be a moment in a playoff game where they have a double-digit lead in the second half, and you're just waiting for the trap door to open up and the Niners fall into a pit of vipers. You're just waiting for it to happen. I can't second-guess anything. Here's Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, pointing out that he does not particularly enjoy facing players like Patrick Mahomes and some guy named Brady. Take a listen.
This is my second game as a head coach, but I think when you go against guys like Tom Brady and Pat Mahomes, you better never feel comfortable with the lead. I mean, those are two of the best players to ever play the game, and that's why whether you have a lead or you're down points, those guys are always in it. We watch them all the time do that stuff.
Well, you've done more to help the careers and the legacies of Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes than anyone else. So congratulations, Kyle Shanahan. The gold standard for Tom Brady is the 25-point comeback for the Pats against the Falcons. The measuring stick now for Patrick Mahomes is this game. Am I wrong? Is this not now the defining moment, the overtime touchdown drive to win the game for the Chiefs against the 49ers, that this is the top moment of the career of Patrick Mahomes? All right, page 2. Who's the fall guy for the 49ers? Better story is in the losing locker room, so who's the fall guy? Well, Kyle Shanahan is at the head of the table, but it's a big table. And you look around, and Shanahan there can pass out party favors. And we're going to give a dunce cap. We're going to give a dunce cap to Jake Moody, and he's an idiot kicker, and cornerback Darrell Luter Jr. We're going to give him a dunce cap as well. Moody missed an extra point that woulda, coulda, shoulda given the 49ers a 4-point lead, thus obviously requiring a touchdown to go down and take the lead in the second half there, a 4-point lead. Not that I played in the NFL, I just do the overnight show, but I think that's better than a 3-point lead. What do I know? Then you have the unknown, faceless, nameless defensive back, special teams player, Darrell Luter Jr., Luter, who was grazed on the foot on a punt return for the Niners that resulted in a muffed punt for the Niners, and fumble recovered as a turnover for San Francisco. The Chiefs keep possession of the ball deep inside 49er territory. Both those plays shifted the way the game was played. There's no such thing as momentum. We know that. Momentum does not exist, but those were game-changing moments in the second half of this game. These guys, again, sucking at a time you cannot suck, so they can all have a nice meal with Kyle Shanahan. All right, final thought. So following the victory, Patty Mahomes, he shaded you doubters. How dare you? After winning, he said the Chiefs are, quote, never underdogs. Never underdogs. All right, just to prove I'm not lying here, we have a lot of people that were here. There were a lot of editors. When I came in the building, there were a lot of people. They're all gone now. But anyway, here's the audio. Let's go to the audio tape. Here is Patrick Mahomes on the doubters.
Just know that the Kansas City Chiefs are never underdogs. Just know that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all right. Whee! Never underdogs. Well, you actually were underdogs. In fact, you were underdogs in every game you played after the Miami game. You were underdogs. Every game. On the road, Buffalo, underdog. Baltimore, underdog. Super Bowl, underdog. Underdog. All right, so what is your position on Patrick Mahomes questioning those that put the Chiefs as an underdog, that status, that underdog status? So I say phooey. I say phooey is what I say. And I would also argue that deep down, Patrick Mahomes is like McDonald's. He's loving it. I know he enjoys Whataburger better, but he's really loving it, the underdog status. And why? It is extra fuel for the engine. That's not an electric car. That's an engine. That's a gas-guzzling engine there on the Chiefs juggernaut. And it's a little extra fuel for the push there, and the unleaded gasoline that fuels the engine. What do we always say here? Pro sports are run by this Rocky Balboa mantra. Nobody thought we could do it. Nobody believed in us. You know, that all that jibber jabber is the number one cause of teams winning, at least based on what they say after games. It's the unleaded gasoline that drives the engine of the industrial complex of sports. You have to find motivation somehow, some way. You have to find the inner power. And Mahomes looking at you naysayers, you killjoys, to push back. The gambling thing's kind of ridiculous. It's more fun to goof on media critics. I've said for some time the people that are the most important are like Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, because the pundit, the media pundit, is the one that the big bully pulpit, that's more important. The gambling market doesn't really care who wins. They just want to win their money. So the whole goal is to guarantee profit. You guarantee profit by having a point spread that encourages people to bet on both sides. And this point spread, most people were betting on the 49ers. I mean, we told you early in the week, and I know getting ready for the final episode of Benny versus the Penny, we were looking at the numbers, and all the sharp money, the people that do that professionally, were on the side of the Kansas City Chiefs. They were like, this is the ridiculous point spread. Why are the Chiefs an underdog? And they were betting a lot of money. The casuals, the low information fan, was betting on the 49ers. But the ones that knew what they were doing was loading up on Kansas City in this game.